Hey guys, it's Angie. So I have a little new addition to this little corner of my channel that I've been sorely ignoring for a while, known as the mag rack. I think I only have one video on the playlist right now because I had started it with the intention of, I had all these magazines that had kind of cool articles and then I would share with you guys. That was the idea. And then just with everything else that happened this year, that project sort of went by the wayside. So I'm slowly trying to come back to some of the topics and playlists and things that I created and try to fill those up again. So I have one today of one I came across just recently, actually. A lot of these ones that I've been using for this playlist, I do subscribe to a couple magazines of my own. I don't really do magazine subscriptions that much anymore, mostly because I don't really like a ton of clutter and it takes me forever to get around to looking at them anyway, but there are a couple I stayed subscribed to. A lot of the ones I use for this right now are ones from my mom's subscriptions that she subscribed to. She signed on to just like dozens of magazines over the years, and she's had some that had either like a year subscription or 2 or 3 year subscription or something that she paid for. So I'm just sort of looking through these as the subscriptions run down, and every so often I come across something that I think you guys would be interested in. So recently I came across this one. It's from just this summer 2017. It's the Defenders magazine, which I think is the magazine you get when you subscribe to Defenders of Wildlife, the conservation company, or not company, but organization. One of your subscription perks is they send you this magazine about conservation efforts for different animals. And one of the things I came across that I thought was really interesting is they have an article on here about the Vaquitas, or I think the closer Spanish pronunciation is with a B. It's spelled with a V, but I think the pronunciation is closer to a B, so it'd be Vaquita. But anyway, they're talking about the Vaquitas, which are known as little cows in Spanish, but they're relatives of porpoises, and they live in the Sea of Cortez. And there are only 30 of them remaining in the world, according to this article, which I'll just go ahead and admit right now, I knew little to nothing about this species. So I thought it was really fascinating and tragic that I'm just now coming across this about this animal, and there's only 30 of them left in the world. So I thought I would do this little video and share this article with you guys and bring it to your attention. And if you are interested in getting involved in conservation efforts to save the few that are left, then I will link below some links you might find interesting as far as what you can do. But before I get into the article, I'm going to split here and put in some just general facts about vaquitas if you are like me and knew next to nothing about them. So just a few facts about them, and then we'll get into the article. This article, it focuses on, it starts with saying, boycott Mexican shrimp to save the vaquitas. And it goes on to say, in the northern reaches of the Gulf of California in Mexico lives the vaquita, the world's most endangered marine mammal, and its smallest at less than 5 feet long. Decimated by the gill nets of the Mexican shrimp industry, fewer than 30 of these shy, elusive creatures survive, down from an already worrisome count of 200 just a decade ago. Biologists believe that without drastic action, the species, which only begins reproducing between the ages of 3 and 6 and gives birth every other year, will go extinct within 2 years. I've read more recent accounts online as far as in like the last month or so that said they're actually estimating that it might not even survive till 2018. That's the reason Defenders and its partners are calling for consumers and importers to boycott all Mexican caught shrimp until the Mexican government enforces a total ban on the use of gill nets in the upper Gulf, the vaquita's only habitat. Again, read an update that said in July of 2016 the gill net was officially permanently banned, but I'll get into more about that later. Stretched between buoys and left unattended by fishermen, gill nets hang like near invisible curtains in the water. When vaquitas accidentally swim into them, they become entangled and drown. Every year, the nets kill about half the population, which means that each of the vaquitas alive today have a 50% chance of drowning in a net every year. From 1990 to 2010, the Mexican shrimp industry killed more than 70% of the population. In 2010, another problem emerged: illegal gill netting of totoaba. I think I said that right. Or totoaba, maybe. A fish that is in itself endangered due to high demand for its dried swim bladder in the Chinese market. It's considered a culinary delicacy there. I was reading on, I think it was porpoise.org, they said that one swim bladder on the Chinese black market right now is worth about $10,000. It's that much of a delicacy. For years, Mexico has proposed numerous plans to limit gill net fishing in the upper Gulf, also known as the Sea of Cortez, including a 2-year ban on most gill net fishing in vaquita habitats. But each plan ultimately failed because of lax enforcement. Fishermen continue to use gill nets in violation of the ban. Even inside the Vaquita Refuge area, an area explicitly set aside for the species conservation, shrimp boats blatantly fish in violation of the ban and get off with no more than a slap on the wrist, says Juan Carlos Cantu, Defenders Mexico program manager. The refuge is littered with illegal nets. Only an immediate and permanent ban on all gill nets in vaquita habitat and a concerted crackdown on illegal fishing and trade in totoaba will save the vaquita from extinction. That's where consumers come in. The United States is the biggest importer of Mexican shrimp, so an American boycott sends a strong message and could get the Mexican government to act immediately to save the vaquita from extinction. The Mexican government is putting shrimp industry profits over saving this tiny porpoise from its free fall into extinction, adds Alejandro Goyenchea, I think it is, Defenders Senior International Counsel. With so few vaquitas left, time is rapidly running out. We are calling on everyone across the United States to stand up and give this tiny porpoise a fighting chance. So like I said earlier, I had known next to nothing about this species before coming across this article by chance. And I'm one of those people, when I know next to nothing about something, I want to know more about it. I don't like to be in the dark about things. I went online and jumped around a few different sites. The ones I was finding the most interesting information on was, I think it was Wildlife Federation's website. They had a section about this, and also porpoise.org, which just tracks conservation efforts of porpoises and dolphins in general. They had some facts. They were talking about the gill nets, and one of the things they mentioned is that it's not just these vaquitas that are endangered. Gill nets are dangerous to marine life in general. I think it was on porpoise.org, they pointed out that just those gill nets, they end up entangling more than 300,000 porpoises, dolphins, and whales every year. Most of them die, but the ones that do survive usually come away with pretty extensive injuries that are hard to recover from. So that's why there's been such a big push to ban them altogether. There was also a mention of the totoaba fish. Those fish exist in the same waters as the vaquitas. The thing that said one bladder could go for like $10,000, so that's why they're being so sought after, and that's why the population of them are being decimated so strongly. There was also a portion of the site that I found interesting that was talking about, well, why are we making such a big push for this? You know, they said that if there's only 30 left, is it too late? And one of the things they brought up is that there was this case of the Yangtze river dolphin in China. And they said that they first noticed back in the 1970s that the population of this Yangtze river dolphin was steadily decreasing. And so even back in the 1970s, they tried to make conservation efforts. And it turned out that now that species is what they are calling functionally extinct. They can't officially prove that it's extinct, but they have noted that they haven't seen one in the wild, not one, since 2006. So a lot of conservation groups feel like those conservation efforts failed and they don't want a repeat of that. So some may feel like, oh, you only have 30 left, it's too late, but I don't know. I feel like I've read stories before that there have been species that have gone down to single digits and have been brought back from the brink of extinction. So I feel like, you know, it's not too late until there's none left, I'd say. As far as the gill nets that I was mentioning before, it started in 2015. The Mexican government came out with initially what was a 2-year ban on the gill nets, and then they upgraded it to a permanent ban in July 2016. But the issue they're running into is that fishermen don't care, because like they said in this article, the Mexican government officially said that this gill net ban would be enforced by the Mexican Navy, but the punishments are really not that severe. So the fishermen are not really scared off by going into these waters. They just end up doing what they want to do. So I think the the biggest push that would make a dent in this problem is if the Mexican government got more aggressive with the fines or the punishments that go along with this ban. This article said the fishermen are getting little more than a slap on the wrist, basically. Well, that's not gonna stop anybody. That is one thing, is that the Mexican government needs to get more aggressive with enforcing these bans. Not just saying, oh no, seriously, we are gonna enforce them. Like, no, get serious about it. Put the fear of God into these people when they try to break the bans. And then, you know, you might be wondering what you can do. If you are the type of person that likes having a celebrity endorsement behind causes you get behind, I did read that Leo DiCaprio has been really rallying behind this cause. So there's that, if that is important to you. But as far as individually what you can do, I'm going to put a little insert here of different steps you can take. I just wanted to include that, maybe put it on your radar if you didn't know. I thought it was a pretty important topic to bring up. And that's all I have for this video. I will include a link down below if you want to get in on this, and feel free to share this video, spread it around, make your own video, get your friends to talk about it and their friends, or however you want to do it. But I was gonna say, I'm gonna leave a link down below. There is a program I read about that you can adopt a vaquita if you like doing animal adoption programs, where, you know, it's basically where you donate money to their conservation efforts, but it's kind of a cute thing to say you adopted a vaquita. So yeah, I will leave that link down below. And that's what I have for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk soon. Forgot one other thing that I wanted to add into this video. If you guys have heard the news, the new hurricane on its way, Hurricane Irma, I think they're calling it, Well, it's directed, at least from what I've seen, it looks like it's directed right at North Carolina where I live. And our governor has declared a state of emergency for the entire state. My husband and I have been watching the weather reports as closely as we can, and it looks like they're still confused about where exactly it's going to hit, but the governor went ahead and declared the whole state in a state of emergency because there are areas in inland, I live inland, that are still going to be sort of in the threat path. And it looks like the area I live in is going to get a big brunt of it. I don't know what's going to happen with my neighborhood specifically. I want to say that it's not going to be too bad for me. The neighborhood I live in is built up a little bit on a hill. I do live near a river that's a couple miles away, but I feel like it's a good enough distance that I won't have too many problems with where my house is situated. So I'm hoping for the best, that it'll just be a matter of me hunkering down for a few days and keeping safe. You know, with my husband being a firefighter, he doesn't really have the option to evacuate. He's going to be expected to work emergency situations, and so I'm going to try to stay behind with our animals. We've already talked about emergency plan. I actually live directly across the street from the station he's going to be stationed at while all this is going on, and the fire chief has already said that families can come and stay at the stations if they are in areas that are in direct threat. So if it starts to get real bad and I get really nervous, then I told him I'll pack up the animals and walk across the street. And the fire station over there is brick and cement and built up on an even higher hill, so I should be safe over there, if not here. But I just wanted to let you guys know about that, just in case you know, you don't see videos from me for a few days, and you're wondering again. It's likely because I'm hunkered down and I may not have power. I don't know what's going to happen. So just to be safe, I may stay away from power sources that aren't entirely necessary until this storm passes. And then I will come back with an update as soon as we're all safe again. So yeah, we'll talk soon. Just wanted to let you guys know. Bye guys.